Hey, what's up, fellow gamers? BC here, and thanks for tuning in to Gamer Life. This is our story. This week I want to talk about diversity in the games industry and why I believe we're missing the mark. So you've seen probably tons of other videos about this.
Dude, you don't have the faintest fucking idea how many times that I've heard this line of thinking in a video on YouTube. You have no earthly idea how many times I've had to cover this issue of people insisting that there are diversity issues, representation issues in gaming, not just the industry, but also with avatars in a video game. Specific to your issue, however, I'm going to bring something up right now. So before we get to any argument that he has, anything that has to do with his video, okay, we're going to address this one thing, something that I think is going to come up in this video in particular. There are different developers. There are different publishers. They are from different countries. There is no such thing as, quote unquote, the industry. That is not a thing. So we're now going to create a rule. And that rule is, the industry can only be defined by the West. Should you reference any game, any publisher, any developer outside of the West, so we're talking Western Europe in North America, any fucking developer, any game outside of that hemisphere of the fucking planet is not included in quote-unquote the industry.
And a lot of the media that I've read seems to think that diversity or the lack thereof is at the core of some of the challenges we're having in the games industry. If you take it as far back as Final Fantasy VII with a racist stereotype character which was Barrett inside the game, or maybe the quasi-sexist boob-bouncing physics of a game like Dead or Alive.
We're off to a fantastic start. Dead or Alive Extreme, Final Fantasy. Those are your two examples. Okay, well let's think about those two games for a second. Dead or Alive Extreme 2 is actually from 2006, so this is not a very relevant game. I'm not even going to bother looking up Final Fantasy because I don't really give a shit. But let's just take a more recent example of a game with jiggle physics. Let's just say Metal Gear Solid 5. That's very recent. It has jiggle physics in it. Not too many females jumping around in bathing suits, but it still has jiggle physics. You have Metal Gear Solid 5, Dead or Alive Extreme 2, and Final Fantasy, whatever one he said. Now, where are these games from? Well, according to Wikipedia, all the developers are from this island. Where is this? Well, it's not connected to land, so it ain't Florida. It's too big to be Hawaii. Where is this? Alright, well, let's check the labels. Man, I can't make heads or tails of this shit. Where the fuck is this place? Oh man, it was under my nose the whole time. It's Long Island. Of course it's Long Island. Oh man, I almost fucked up right there, guys. I just gotta concede the point. You know, I fucked up. This is actually from the West. This isn't a whole other country with its own history and culture that neither one of us have any idea about and that we're talking out of our ass. No. This is Long Island. My mistake, let's just continue.
And much of what I've read surrounding the issue seems to think that the solution to the problem is adding more diversity on the design and development and publishing side of the house. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad solution, but I have some concerns about the way we as an industry may carry this solution out. I've had a good deal of experience from the military, from the public sector, and also working for private sector corporations.
I noticed you never said just game development, which is the category that you could have listed and would have shut me down completely. I would have nothing to say if you said, I'm a game developer. I work in the games industry. I do X within the industry itself. I'd have nothing to say here, but instead you're getting my cheeky response because you're listing things that are irrelevant to what you're discussing. You and I are on the same level. We're consumers. We consume the media that is being published by other people. That's who you and I are. So don't start throwing out this bullshit as if you have some expertise on the matter. You don't. No one does, unless they're from the industry itself, because there are no two industries that are the same. You want to pretend like every field's the same, that's bullshit. That is nonsense. Even within the public sector, would you say the military is the same as being an aide or a staffer to a politician? Would you say that those two jobs are pretty similar? Those are two wholly different jobs, even though they're both part of the public sector. So don't even try throwing this out as some sort of bullshit abstract. that you can use to give yourself some sort of credentials. You don't have them.
And the lack of diversity is an issue in all three, without a doubt. And from my experience in those fields and what I observed, I believe that our solution to the diversity problem has to be much bigger than just adding more women or maybe more culturally diverse groups to the staffs that work at these organizations. Trying to fix it that way, in my opinion, is trying to put a band-aid on the real cancer. And the real cancer that I think is the culprit for a lot of the issues that we're having across this particular industry with games is a lack of cognitive diversity. I believe cognitive diversity is really at the root of all the other issues that we're having.
Dude, where do you get off saying that any given developer, any given publisher, you already know what's wrong with them? You and I are the same person. We're consumers. I don't even pretend to know what the problems are at the developer that made fucking Dead or Alive Extreme. I don't even pretend to know what's going on at whatever the name of the company is that's working on Final Fantasy fucking 27, whatever one they're on now. You have to understand, you and every other fucking person like you need to understand that you don't know shit and you are a fucking nobody. I don't care whether it's fucking Felicia Day on her channel, Ashley Birch, who even works in the industry as a voice actor, or this guy. They are fucking know-nothings. They don't have any earthly idea what's going wrong at these companies, assuming that there's anything even wrong with them. How many people whined about what is wrong at Rockstar with Grand Theft Auto 5? How many fucking articles did you read and you hear about with people giving bullshit to Rockstar over the sexism, over the misogyny, over the all the bullshit over Grand Theft Auto 5? Now, also understand that this is one of the most successful games of all fucking time. So you ask me, who am I going to go with? Am I going to go with the people that made the fucking game? Or am I going to go with the fucking bourgeois white women that have a problem with it? Oh, I don't know, guys. Maybe go with the people that made the fucking game and made billions on it. Maybe go with those people and not fuckers like this.
And so simply trying to fix gender or cultural or religious differences or sexual preference diversity, or maybe even having a quota for how many disabled or wounded warriors you have to hire, is not really dealing with the root of the issue, which I believe is cognitive diversity. And here's why. We as human beings have a tendency to operate using group dynamics, or in other words, we have a tendency to tribe up with people who look, think, and act like we do. That same tendency exists in all of the weaker managers that I've observed throughout my career. Stronger managers always understand the value of having people on their teams that don't see things the way that they do, especially managers charged with delivering excellent products and services. But the games industry in this particular case reminds me of my time in the public sector.
How do you know this? How can you make this assumption about a fucking global industry?
For starters, we as consumers reward games industry bad judgment with our money, the same way that taxpayers reward civil servants for substandard and a lot of times inefficient work.
What? What the fuck are you talking about? That is not an equitable comparison. That is one of the least fucking applicable comparisons that I have ever fucking heard. If I wasn't already taking this so seriously, I would laugh because of how fucking dumb it is and how much it says about how you're approaching this. Dude, you have no fucking idea what you're talking about. It's very clear already. A consumer who has the option of buying a game or not, or buying from a publisher or not, or actually boycotting a developer, publisher, whatever. You can't boycott your fucking taxes. You can't boycott a civil servant. I mean, if you get into the whole idea of a civil servant, a person that has to take an exam just to get put on a fucking waiting list, and then hope that either they can fucking politic their way in, or maybe they did well and they get selected for some specific position, whether it's some shitty secretary job or, a job that's, some higher up administrator at a public school or something like that, where they're making fucking 70 grand a year. That system is in no way equitable to being a fucking video game consumer. I'm sorry. That is just on its face. And not even just asinine. It is a fucking moronic comparison to make.
So I believe at present the games industry lacks the market forces necessary to destroy a game that would dare to use a racist stereotype as one of its lead characters.
So this actually raises two questions, and one question really is the ethics of whether this is a defensible position or not, but I'm actually going to set that aside. The greater issue that I have here is there's no objective standard for racism, dude. Who decides whether something's racist or not? Is it you? Is it some rating board? Is it some sophist or feminist? Who gets to decide whether something's racist or not? A good example that comes immediately to me is the word nigger in Huckleberry Finn, and how many people can't stand that. How many people either want to ban the book or censor the word, or put a trigger warning of racism and then label the book. So before you can even read the fucking thing, you prejudge it as fucking racist. So pick your poison, dude. We censor something, we label something, we ban something, or what I think you're likely implying is that enough people are either shamed or mind-fucked into the position where they won't buy it. There's such a negative connotation with Huckleberry Finn, or in this case a video game, that enough people don't buy it, and then hopefully the developer goes under. They can't make any more games, there aren't any more copies released into the market, so hopefully the game goes away through that method. But why do you have to take that extra step, dude? Why do you need to go that far and say that I find this offensive, therefore no one should be able to view it, no one should be able to play it, no one should look at it, and if they do, we need to pre-label it. We need to prejudge it for them so they know it's racist. Like, I don't even want to use the word fascist, you know what I mean? Because I use it so much now that everyone starts fucking lecturing me about using it. However, I'll just say that, really, someone fucking defend this guy.
So I believe until publishers and developers, and this really can apply to any industry, until they begin to foster work environments where cognitive diversity is all but mandatory for their senior staff, all the way down to middle management, all the way down to the lowest people working there. Until that environment is fostered, we're going to continue to see the same white males working in this industry with a couple of women, maybe a couple of minorities peppered in. And we're going to continue to see games that lack any level of diversity and still have sexist or racist tropes in them.
So here we are, blurring content with content creators. Once again, sexist and racist tropes, as he put it, in video games. And I'm going to say this once again, you stupid cocksucker. How do you know Japanese lore and Japanese history and a Japanese perspective and Japanese what the fuck ever, you stupid cocksucker? How do you know it better than the Japanese know it? This is one more American telling foreigners how to do their own culture. I mean, for fuck's sake. I mean, would it be easy enough to just call this guy a racist? Would it be just easy enough to say that, guys? I honestly don't know anymore. I honestly don't know how many more fucking times that I need to explain this exact fucking issue to someone that cannot stop referencing fucking Japanese games. You aren't fucking Japanese. You don't get their fucking culture. How many fucking more times do I need to say it? I'm just gonna make this video the fucking case in point. Any time after this one that I hear someone say that they understand a Japanese game and Japanese lore better than the fucking Japanese developers that made the game, I'm just going to call you a racist. So that concludes part 1 of this 2-part series covering this guy and his nonsense solutions regarding the industry. So some of you guys are going to say that I don't really get the title of this video, nothing he said was all that extreme. Well, I'm just going to tell you, wait for it. Just wait for what he has to say in the next video, because he really goes off the rails. This is the most extreme guy that I've ever covered, and you'll see why. But otherwise, be sure to follow me on Twitter and all the rest. Thanks for watching.